growing, all while he's siphoning off tax-free cash to live on. His portfolio is growing faster than the tiny interest on his loan. He is literally getting richer while spending millions of dollars.
Okay, so Scott's life is pretty amazing, but you can still kind of recognize it. He probably still worries about his investments, about his family, but what happens when we add another zero? When we jump from 100 million to 1 billion? This is not just 10 times more money. This is where reality itself begins to fray at the edges.
Meet Javier. He was an early investor in some tech startup that just went to the moon, and now he's worth over $1 billion. And when you get to the billion-dollar level, the rules don't just bend for you, they actually rewrite themselves around you.
Get your head around this for a second. If you spent $1,000 every single day since the year zero, you still would not have spent $1 billion by today. For someone like Javier, the very idea of spending money is basically meaningless. It's a rounding error on a fortune that's growing way faster than he could ever possibly give away.
Javier's world is a whole different universe from Scott's. He doesn't just fly private, he owns the $65 million Gulfstream jet. His boat isn't a sailboat, it's a $150 million super yacht that costs another $15 million a year just to keep floating. He's got 7 homes around the world and priceless art that doesn't even hang on a wall. It just sits in a tax-free vault in Switzerland, basically functioning as a bar of gold.
And at this level, the goal totally changes. It stops being about just owning things, and it becomes about building a bubble. Perfect insulation from the messy, complicated real world, Javier does this with something called a family office, which is basically a private company of lawyers, accountants, and fixers whose only job is to manage every single part of his life. It's like a fortress of logistics that seals him off from, well, everything else.
And from inside that bubble, you can start to pull the levers on the world outside. See, wealth on this scale isn't just money. It's raw political power. A $20 million campaign donation? That's not a gift. That's an investment. An investment that might, for example, result in a few words being quietly slipped into some 1,000-page bill. A tiny little change that creates a brand new loophole saving you hundreds of millions of dollars. The return on investment for that donation is absolutely astronomical.
So Javier can influence the rules. But our final character operates on a level where he can create entirely new ones. Meet Bradley. He's worth over $100 billion. That's not a fortune. That is a privately owned national treasury. It's more money than the entire annual economic output of more than 100 countries.
A weird thing happens at this level. You hit a ceiling on personal pleasure. I mean, how many houses can you live in at once? How many yachts can you sail on? The money becomes so enormous that it actually outgrows the person. It stops being a tool for your own comfort and becomes a tool for rewriting the source code of society itself. It becomes the power to actually warp reality.
Bradley's world is all about control, not comfort. He doesn't just own a vacation home, he owns an entire Hawaiian island. He doesn't just read the news, he owns the social media platform that shapes the global conversation. He's not just playing the market, he's funding private space companies and biotech that's trying to solve death. He's got his own private security force staffed by ex-intelligence officers, and yeah, he's got doomsday bunkers in New Zealand, just in case the world he's helping to shape goes sideways.
This is the final, ultimate form of financial power. Scott, our first guy, he bought freedom from inconvenience. Javier, the billionaire, bought freedom from the rules. But Bradley, he's purchased something else entirely, freedom from consequence. The money creates a shield so powerful that the normal laws of cause and effect that govern the rest of our lives, they just don't apply anymore.
And here is the truly bizarre, totally counterintuitive result of this whole system. Because of strategies like buy, borrow, die, the wealthiest people on the planet can legally pay a lower effective tax rate than the people who clean their mansions. It's a system where the more wealth you pile up, the smaller the percentage you can end up paying.
So, we've seen the super yachts and the private islands. We've seen the unbelievable power. But what does all of this actually mean when so much is piled up in so few hands? What's the real price of a pile this big?
Let's just put these numbers in one final context. The price of a single mega yacht, $500 million, is about the same amount of money it would take to end homelessness in a major American city. The net worth of one person, like Bradley, is 4 times the entire annual budget of NASA. Now, this isn't a judgment about how money is spent. It's just a recognition of the sheer scale of the resources we're talking about and the choices that are being made.
You know, it's really tempting to look at all this and think, wow, the system is broken. But what if it's not?
What if this isn't some kind of accident or a glitch in the matrix? This is a system that is working exactly as it was designed to. It's the logical endpoint of decades of specific tax codes, loopholes, and policies, many of which were shaped by this very concentration of wealth, all leading to this exact outcome.
We've seen how this much wealth can buy insulation from inconvenience, from rules, from consequence. But a system that creates a perfect, frictionless bubble for a very few people often creates immense pressure on everyone else outside of it. And so, that leaves us with one final question. When wealth becomes power on this kind of scale, who is it that ultimately bears the cost?